6 in the morning, 15 degrees, and I was on the porch doing shoulder presses with weights I'd bought at a yard sale for $3. My breath came out in clouds. The wood creaked under my boots. Inside, I could hear the heating system struggling against the January cold. "Daddy, Emma needs help!" I dropped the weights and headed in. Emma's catheter needed adjusting, nothing I hadn't done 1,000 times. Got her settled, kissed her forehead, went back outside. Claire's car wasn't in the driveway. Another early grocery run, 4th one this month. I sat down with my laptop, told myself I was just checking to make sure the kids were okay while I'd showered yesterday. The security camera app loaded slow. Playroom camera, 2:30 p.m., 2 figures in the frame. That's when I saw her hand on his chest. I clicked play. Watch my wife lean into the therapist, our children's therapist, in the playroom where Emma does her exercises. Her hand on his chest, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing. The timestamp said 2:30 p.m. I switched cameras. Kitchen view, same time, me struggling to carry Jack upstairs for his nap, my back giving out halfway. I had to sit on the step for 5 minutes, just breathing through the pain. Back to the playroom camera. Audio on. "You sure he can't see these?" Derek's voice. That's what the kids called him. "Mr. Derek? He can barely work his phone." Claire's laugh. "We're fine. Old man doesn't have a clue." I sat there on the frozen porch with those words in my ears. Old man. 58 years old, and that's what I'd become to them. The fool carrying 3 kids up and down stairs while his wife entertained herself. I scrolled back through the saved footage. Found another day. Another. 3 weeks of evidence, maybe more. Different angles. Different times. Always when I was at the kids' physical therapy appointments downtown, or when I thought everyone was napping. "Daddy, can we have breakfast?" Emma's voice from inside. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. Had to go in there and flip pancakes and cut everything into small pieces and pretend the world hadn't just split open. Claire came home at 9 that night, kissed my cheek. I flinched without meaning to. "You okay?" she asked. "Tired. Long day." "You're always tired." She said it like an accusation. Then softer. "Derek's coming by tomorrow at 2 for the kids' session." How long has Derek been their therapist? I thought we had someone else." 3 months now. He's really good with them. Very dedicated. I watched her walk away. New perfume. Expensive smelling. Her nails were freshly done, too. I'd noticed that this morning but hadn't let myself think about what it meant. The next morning, I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, bacon. Emma wheeled herself to the table. Jack needed help with his chair. Sarah wanted extra butter on her toast. "Mommy still sleeping?" Emma asked. She had an early yoga class. There was no yoga class. I'd checked the studio schedule weeks ago when her Tuesday morning absences started, but I kept that to myself. Claire came home at 10:30, just as I was loading the dishwasher. "Did you check on the kids' meds refill?" she asked, scrolling through her phone. "I'll call today." Derek mentioned Sarah's been favoring her right side. "We should watch that," Derek mentioned, like he was some kind of expert. I bit back what I wanted to say. The kids had a physical therapy appointment at 1 p.m. Takes 90 minutes, minimum. Derek was scheduled for 2. I called and canceled the appointment. "Everything okay, Mr. Chen?" the receptionist asked. "Yeah, just need to stay home today." At 1:30, I positioned myself in the bedroom with the laptop. Camera feeds open. Living room, playroom, kitchen, front door, all the angles. Derek showed up right at 2. Claire let him in. They went to the living room, not the playroom where therapy was supposed to happen. I watched them sit close on the couch, talking, laughing, her hand on his knee. "Mr. Derek, I need help with my exercises." Emma's voice from the playroom, clear on the audio. Derek yelled back, "In a minute, sweetie." 20 minutes passed. I watched Jack on the playroom camera. His catheter needed attention. He kept calling. "Mr. Derek, Daddy, somebody." My hand was on the bedroom doorknob. I was about to go down there, bust into that room, end this thing right now. Then I stopped. If I went down there angry, what would I have? An affair I couldn't prove beyond my word against theirs. A marriage over, but nothing to show for it. But if I documented this, if I let them think they were getting away with it, I'd have evidence. The kind judges and lawyers care about. I watched my son call for help while his mother sat 10 feet away, too busy with her boyfriend to check on him. I slipped out the back door, circled around to the front, and knocked. Loud, scrambling sounds inside. Derek shot out the back door. Claire answered, her face flushed. "Oh, I thought you'd be gone longer." Appointment got canceled. "Where's Derek? Thought he had a session." "He just left." Sarah wasn't feeling up to it today. I walked past her to the playroom. All 3 kids looked fine. No therapy had occurred. "Daddy," Jack's voice was tight. I called for help, but nobody came. I took care of his catheter, made sure Emma and Sarah were good, all while the camera recorded everything. Me helping, Claire absent. The therapist who'd been billing insurance for 90-minute sessions had been there all of 25 minutes, and none of it was therapy. That night, Claire made dinner. Spaghetti, garlic bread. She was cheerful, humming while she cooked. "Marcus, is everything okay? You seem distant." "Just tired. Maybe you should see someone. Like a therapist. For the stress." I looked at her across the kitchen, my wife of 5 years. The woman who'd seemed like an answer to prayer when she'd walked into my life. The ER nurse who was so patient with my kids, so capable, so loving. I didn't know this person at all. "Maybe you're right," I said. "I'll think about it." That night, I watched her text on a phone I wasn't supposed to know about. Small thing, cheap plastic, kept hidden in her purse. I'd found it 2 weeks ago when looking for insurance cards. She thought I was asleep. She was smiling at the screen. Across the street, Pete Richardson's porch light was on. He was sitting in his usual spot, coffee cup in hand, watching. Our eyes met through the window. He raised his cup slightly. A salute? Or maybe just acknowledgement. Pete had been my neighbor for 12 years. Quiet guy. Kept to himself mostly. But I'd caught him watching the house lately, watching Derek's truck come and go. I wondered what else Pete had seen. I waited 3 days, watched more footage, built the case in my head, but I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't lie next to her at night, knowing what I knew. Friday evening, after the kids were asleep, I asked her to sit down. "Claire, we need to talk." Her face went careful. "About what?" "About us. About the distance between us. About Derek." She stood up immediately. "What about Derek?" "Sit down, please." She sat, arms crossed. "I feel like you're unhappy," I said, choosing my words like I was walking through a minefield. Like maybe there's something going on I should know about. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm asking if everything's okay. With us, with you and him." Her face crumpled. Tears came fast. "God, Marcus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." My heart jumped. Maybe this was it. Maybe she'd confess, we'd work through it, save the family. "It's just been so hard," she said. "The kids, the constant care, the exhaustion. And you're always tired, always stressed. I feel invisible. Derek's he's been a friend. Someone to talk to." "Just talk?" "Yes." She grabbed my hand. "Just talk. I know how it must look, but Marcus, I married you. I love you. I just got lost for a bit. Has anything physical happened?" "No. God, no. But I can see how it could go there if I'm not careful. So I'll stop. I'll end whatever this friendship has become. We'll find a new therapist for the kids." She was crying harder now. "I don't want to lose you, or the kids. I need you to be patient with me, to help me remember why we fell in love." I wanted to believe her. Wanted it so bad I could taste it. "Okay," I said. "We'll work on it." She kissed me, held me. That night, for the first time in months, we were intimate. She fell asleep in my arms. I stared at the ceiling until dawn. The next 3 days were different. She was present. Helped with the kids' breakfast, sat with us during dinner, laughed at my stupid jokes, touched my shoulder when she passed. On Tuesday, she even helped give Jack his bath. I hadn't seen her do that in a year. I wanted to believe it was real. Wednesday afternoon, I was looking for aspirin. Cabinet under the bathroom sink. Moved a box of tampons aside. A phone clattered onto the tile. I stared at it. Didn't want to pick it up. If I picked it up, I'd know for sure, and knowing for sure meant I couldn't pretend anymore. I picked it up. No password. Why would there be? I wasn't supposed to find it. 47 unread messages, all from D. I opened them. "Baby, I miss you. 3 days is forever. And Tuesday, 6 p.m., he'll be at PT with the kids. We have the house. Old man actually apologized to me. LOL, can you believe? Don't worry. I'm playing the sad wife perfectly. 3 more months, and we can file, get the settlement, start our life." The shower shut off. Claire would be out in seconds. I took photos of the messages with my own phone, put hers back exactly where it fell, stood up, looked at myself in the mirror, exhausted. Gray at the temples. Lines around my eyes from squinting at small print. Hands rough from years of construction work and now from constant lifting. "Old man." Claire came out in her towel. "What are you doing in here?" "Looking for aspirin. Headache. Want me to make you some tea?" I looked at her, really looked. The woman I'd thought she was had never existed. "No thanks. I'm fine." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages. Start our life. Like I was just an obstacle to be removed. Like my kids were just access to money. Thursday morning, Claire left early. "Running errands," she said. The kids were at her sister Linda's for the afternoon. I had the house to myself. I went to her closet. Found the file box I'd seen once but never opened, small padlock. I used a paper clip, Old construction worker trick. Inside, a manila folder labeled Marcus Documentation. Pages of handwritten notes, dates, times, incidents. Feb 3, raised voice at Jack for spilling juice. Anger issues. Feb 17, forgot Sarah's evening meds. Cognitive decline. March 2, found him crying in bathroom. Unstable. Every time I'd been human, tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, emotional, she'd been taking notes. Building a case. There were pediatrician reports I'd never seen. Dr. Levin, the kid's doctor. Father exhibits anxiety around children's care, possibly overprotective to concerning degree. I'd never been to those appointments. Claire always went alone. Said it was easier with one parent. Draft legal papers. Petitioner requests emergency custody due to father's deteriorating mental state. Insurance documents showing Derek's billing, $47,000 in 3 months. His signature, licensed physical therapist with credentials I didn't recognize. Financial papers from the kid's settlement, $800,000, structured payments. Claire listed as co-guardian, and a sticky note in her handwriting. Dr. Levin, tell him M has depression, won't seek treatment. I photographed everything, every page. Then put it all back exactly as I'd found it. I was sitting in the kitchen when Claire came home, shopping bags in her hands. I bought steaks for dinner, thought we could have a nice evening. Sounds good. Where are the kids? Linda's having so much fun with them. I might leave them overnight. Give us some alone time. She smiled. Unless you think that's a bad idea? My blood went cold. Kids away overnight. Derek could come over. No, that's fine. We could use the time. She kissed my cheek. Hummed while she unpacked groceries. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Monitored the cameras from the bedroom. Door locked. At 11 p.m., Derek's truck pulled up 3 houses down. I texted Pete next door. You still awake? Always. You okay? Can you come over? Need to talk. Back door. 5 minutes later, Pete was in my kitchen. 76 years old, moving slow, but his eyes were sharp. Son, he said, I've been waiting for you to ask. Pete sat at my kitchen table with a notebook. Small thing, spiral bound, the kind you'd pick up at a dollar store. He opened it to the first page. November 18th, Derek Lawson's truck, license plate GHT 4721, parked behind your garage. 10:15 a.m. to 2:40 p.m., you were at the kids' therapy appointment downtown. He flipped the page. November 22nd, same truck, 11 a.m. to 3:10 p.m. Mrs. Chen left house at 10:45, returned at 3:15, 5-minute gap. Page after page. Dates, times, license plates. 3 months of observations. Why? I asked. Pete looked at me with eyes that had seen too much. I lost my daughter 20 years ago. Bad marriage. I saw the signs, didn't say anything, thought it wasn't my place. He closed the notebook. I won't make that mistake twice. Pete, I don't know what to... Don't thank me yet. We're going to need more than my notes. He pulled out a business card. My niece, Maria, legal aid attorney. She owes me her whole life. I raised her after her parents died. She'll take your case. Well, I can't afford. Pro bono. We're family, far as she's concerned. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., someone knocked on my door. Derek, wearing his gym clothes, smiling like he owned the world. He held a manila envelope. Official delivery for Marcus Chen. I took it. What is this? Claire thought it would be easier if I brought them. Professional courtesy. I ripped it open. The first page made my vision swim. Petition for legal separation and emergency temporary custody. Claire appeared from the bedroom. Wouldn't look at me. I scanned the document. Father's untreated depression, paranoid behavior, documented concerning incidents, references to professional evaluations from therapist and pediatrician. She wanted the house, custody, child support from the settlement. Derek leaned against the door frame. Nothing personal, man. Just what's best for the kids. You should probably get a lawyer. Hearings in 3 weeks. I looked at my children in the playroom. Emma was watching everything, her face tight with worry. You need to leave, I said. Both of you. This is Claire's house too, buddy. I stepped closer. But I said leave. Now. Claire pulled Derek toward the door. Let's give him space to process. They left together. In her car. Obvious where they were going. I sat with the kids. Explained that Mommy and Daddy were having disagreements, but it had nothing to do with them. Are you going away, Daddy? Emma asked. Not if I can help it, sweetheart. That afternoon, I called 3 lawyers. None took payment plans. All wanted $5,000 up front. My bank account had $847. I called the number I'd been avoiding for 15 years. Dorothy, it's Marcus. Silence. Then, what do you want? I need help. The next morning, I called Dr. Levin's office. I'd like copies of my children's recent evaluations. The receptionist, Joanne, sounded confused. Of course. The regular checkups or the special consultations? Special consultations? Yes, Mrs. Chen has been bringing them in monthly. Didn't she tell you? When did these start? Let me check. First one was December 3rd. You weren't present for any of them. I drove to the office, demanded the records. The reports showed Claire describing me as increasingly agitated, forgetful with medications, on one being episodes, resistant to accepting help. Dr. Levin's notes. Father appears overwhelmed. Mother reports concerning behaviors at home. Recommend family counseling evaluation. I found Dr. Levin in his office. When did you see these behaviors? He looked uncomfortable. I haven't personally observed them. Mrs. Chen reported. You wrote professional concerns based solely on her word? She's the children's primary caregiver. I had no reason to doubt. I'm the primary caregiver. She doesn't even help with breakfast. Understanding crossed his face. Then embarrassment. Mr. Chen, I may have been misled. You think? I got signed copies of everything, walked out to the parking lot. A woman was waiting by my truck, badge on her belt. Mr. Chen, I'm Janet Torres, insurance fraud investigation. Do you have a moment? About what? Your children's therapist, Derek Lawson. We received an anonymous tip about his credentials. I glanced toward the street. Pete's truck was parked there. He nodded once. I have a lot to tell you, I said. That night, I was looking for the kids' insurance cards. Needed to refill prescriptions. Claire's purse was on the counter. I dug through the wallet section, found the cards. Also found folded papers in a zippered compartment, petition for emergency psychiatric evaluation, and involuntary hold. The form was partially filled out. It said I was a danger to self and others. Cited paranoid delusions, installing surveillance equipment, making accusations against wife. Recommended 72-hour evaluation at county mental health facility. As the date on the form, 3 days before the custody hearing. A sticky note was attached. Claire's handwriting. Dr. Morrison owes me favor. Will sign. There was a second document. Emergency custody order pending father's psychiatric evaluation. I understood the plan now. Have me committed right before the hearing, get automatic temporary custody, access to settlement money, keep me trapped with a mental health record. I photographed everything, put it back exactly as I'd found it, sat at the kitchen table, stared at the photo of me and the triplets on my phone wallpaper. Emma, Jack, Sarah, 7 years old, completely dependent on me. And I was about to lose them, to paperwork and lies. Claire came home at 10, cheerful. How are the kids today? Fine. Gave them dinner, did homework, bed at 8. You're so good with them. I don't tell you that enough. I looked at her, really looked. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Never mind. I'm tired. I went to the bedroom, locked the door. My phone buzzed. Dorothy. I'm driving up tomorrow. Should arrive by evening. Hold on. And second text from Pete. Storm coming in. Big one. You stocked up? I checked the weather app. Blizzard warning. 18 to 24 inches predicted. Starting tomorrow night. The custody hearing was still 2 weeks away. Claire knocked on the locked door. Marcus, why is the door locked? Sorry, must have done it by accident. But I didn't unlock it. Sat there listening to her try the handle twice more before giving up. At midnight, I was still awake when the first snowflakes started falling. By 6 p.m. Thursday, we had 8 inches, and it was still coming down hard. The power flickered. Claire texted. They're saying roads will close. Staying at Linda's tonight. Linda lived 10 minutes away. The storm had just started. I knew where she really was. I settled the kids for bed, read them extra stories, tucked them in tight. Is Mommy okay? Emma asked. She's safe. Don't worry. And Jack grabbed my hand. Are you okay, Daddy? I paused too long. Of course, buddy. Sarah's voice was softest. You seem sad. I kissed their foreheads. Left the room before they could see my face. By 10 p.m., we had 14 inches. The road crews had given up. Power went out. Generator kicked in, thank God. Cell service was dropping. Landline was dead. I tried calling the lawyers, Maria, even Dorothy. Nothing connected. I sat on the porch in 10-degree cold, coat unbuttoned, watching the snow bury everything. Maybe Claire was right. Maybe the kids would be better off without me. Without watching me break down. Without the constant exhaustion, the mistakes, the crying in bathrooms. Daddy, I need help. Emma's voice cut through the cold. I was inside in seconds. Her catheter had shifted. I handled it gently, competently. Muscle memory from 3 years of practice. You're the best, Daddy, she said when I finished. I had to turn away. Tears were coming, and I didn't want her to see. She saw anyway. It's okay to be sad, Daddy. You tell us that. I held her hand until she fell back asleep, went back to the porch, this time with coffee, coat zipped. Pete's kitchen light was on across the snow-covered street. He was awake too, watching over things like he always did. Friday morning, still snowing, 20 inches now. I made pancakes, comfort food. Emma wheeled herself to the kitchen. "Daddy, can we talk?" I sat at her level. "Of course, sweetheart." She looked at Jack and Sarah in the doorway. Some silent agreement passed between them. "We know Mommy wants you to leave." I froze. "What?" We heard her on the phone. She said getting rid of Marcus and something about papers. Jack stepped forward. "Wait, Derek said you'd be gone soon and he'd move in." Sarah started crying. "We don't want you to go. We want you to stay." I pulled all three of them close. "When did you hear this?" "Lots of times," Emma said. "At night, when you're asleep. They think we can't hear." "Why didn't you tell me?" "We tried. We kept calling for you when Mommy was with Mr. Derek, so you'd see." Everything clicked. Their random needs for help weren't random at all. They'd been documenting too, making me necessary, making me present. "Are you going to fight, Daddy?" Jack asked. "Or let them win?" I looked at three faces, scared, determined, trusting me completely. "I'm going to fight. I promise." Emma smiled. "Good, because we choose you." Somebody knocked on the door. Forceful, urgent. Pete was there, covered in snow. Oxygen tank. In tow. "Son, we need to talk. I've been keeping records." "Records of what?" "Everything." He handed me his notebook. Dates, times, license plates. That boy's truck, your wife's comings and goings. 3 months' worth. "Why?" His face went hard. "Because I watched my daughter die in a bad marriage, and nobody spoke up. I won't make that mistake twice." I flipped through the notebook, page after page of meticulous observations. "Storm should break tomorrow," Pete said. "Then we fight." He stayed at my house that night. His power was still out. We sat at the kitchen table. My photos spread out next to his notebook, next to the custody papers. "My niece, Maria's a legal aid attorney," Pete said. "She owes me everything. I raised her after her parents died. I can't afford. She'll take it pro bono. Call it family debt." He picked up the landline, working again, and dialed. "Maria? It's Uncle Pete. I need you." Conference call. Maria asked sharp, specific questions. I showed her the evidence through photos I texted. The camera footage, the burner phone messages, the commitment papers, the documentation file, the insurance fraud. "This isn't a custody case," Maria said. "This is a fraud case. We focus on the fake therapist, the billing scam, make it criminal, not emotional." Pete started coughing. Deep, wet, painful. "Uncle Pete, you sound terrible." "Just a cold." I caught his expression. That wasn't a cold. "How long will this take?" Pete asked. "Hearings in 2 weeks. We can do it." Outside, an engine rumbled. Someone had made it through. Dorothy's rental car, barely visible through the snow, pulled into my driveway. I opened the door. We stared at each other. 15 years since we'd spoken, our mother's funeral, a bitter fight about her estate. "Marcus, Dorothy, you said you needed help. Here I am." She stepped inside. Saw Pete's notebook, the custody papers, the kids in the playroom. Her face softened briefly, looking at the triplets, then hardened. "You let this happen, just like you let Mom get taken advantage of." "That's not fair." She dropped 2 file boxes on the table. "These are fraud cases. Insurance scams targeting caregivers and the elderly, just like what's happening to you." "How do you know about?" "Because this is what I do. I'm a paralegal. I specialize in elder fraud and caregiver exploitation." Pete studied her. "Then you're exactly who we need." And Dorothy looked at his oxygen tank, at my exhausted face, at 3 worried children watching from the doorway. "Okay," she said. "Let's get to work. But after this, we talk about Mom." I nodded. Family healing could wait. Survival came first. Saturday afternoon, the snow stopped. 24 inches total. The plows were working main roads. Residential streets would take days. But something had shifted. I wasn't alone anymore. We had 2 weeks to save my children. And I had a family, not the one I'd married into, but the one that showed up in a blizzard. Sunday morning, the coffee was too strong. Pete made it the way he always did. Postal worker strong, he called it. We sat around my kitchen table like we were planning a war. Which, I guess we were. Maria was on speakerphone. "Uncle Pete, they'll attack your credibility. You need to be ready." I'm a dying old man who watched his neighbor love his kids," Pete said. "That's my credibility." I noticed his hands trembling, the yellow tinge to his skin, the way he had to catch his breath between sentences. "Pete, how sick are you?" Long silence. Just the oxygen tank hissing. "Prostate cancer. Beat it once, 10 years ago. It's back. Stage 4. Spread to the bones, liver. Dorothy looked up from her files. How long? Doc said 6 months. That was 4 months ago. Jesus, Pete. I stood up. You should be resting, not resting. His voice went hard. For what? To die more comfortably? Hell with that. He told us about his daughter, Lily, married at 20 to a guy who seemed charming, then controlling, then violent. Pete had noticed the signs, but didn't speak up. Thought it wasn't his place. She died at 23. Car crash leaving his house, fleeing another argument. 20 years I've carried that, Pete said, not speaking up when I should have. He looked toward the playroom where the kids were watching TV. I see your kids being used as pawns. I see a good man being destroyed, and you think I'll stay quiet. Not this time. I couldn't speak. Just reached across the table and gripped his shoulder. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. Then win this case. That's thanks enough. Maria's voice came through the speaker. Uncle Pete, you'll need to testify in person. Can you physically manage it? I'll be there if they have to wheel me in on a gurney. Dorothy was already pulling documents from her boxes. The insurance investigator, Torres, she's already investigating. We need her testimony coordinated with ours. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened it. Photo of insurance billing records. Note. Thought you'd want to see these. JT. Second text. Derek Lawson has no valid physical therapy license in any state. Credentials are fake. Meet Monday, 10 a.m. I showed the phone to the group. Pete smiled. Looks like somebody's paying attention. Dorothy started laying out a timeline on poster board. Monday, we meet Torres. Tuesday, we prep Pete's testimony. Wednesday, we file countermotion. What countermotion? Emergency custody order against Claire, child endangerment, fraud complicity. Can we do that? Oh, we're doing that. 1 a.m., and Dorothy and I were still working. Pete had fallen asleep on my couch, oxygen tank beside him. I'd covered him with a blanket. How do you know all of this? I asked Dorothy. 15 years ago, you were in marketing. She stopped writing, put down her pen. Mom didn't die of natural causes. Not really. What? Her caregiver. Remember Denise? So sweet, so helpful. Yeah, she was with Mom for the last 2 years. She defrauded Mom of $180,000. Forged checks, changed her will, took jewelry, sold her car. I stared at her. Why didn't you tell me? I tried, at the funeral. You said I was making it up, being greedy about the estate. The memory hit me. How angry I'd been. How I'd accused her of caring more about money than Mom's memory. I thought you were fighting over money. And I was fighting to expose a criminal. But by then, the evidence was destroyed, Denise had vanished, and you and I weren't speaking. And then she kept her eyes on the papers. So, I went back to school, became a paralegal, specialized in elder fraud, caregiver exploitation, financial abuse. 15 years preparing for a case exactly like yours, to save someone the way I couldn't save Mom. The silence stretched between us. 15 years of it. I'm sorry, I said. I should have listened. Yeah, you should have. She looked up finally. But we're listening now. We went back to work, closer than we'd been in 15 years. At 2 a.m., Dorothy spoke again. There's something else you should know. My what? Denise, Mom's caregiver who defrauded her. I tracked her down last year. And? She's in prison, Oregon. I built the case that put her there. 5 other victims came forward after I found them. I looked at my sister. Really looked. She'd spent 15 years hunting down the woman who'd hurt our mother. And I'd called her greedy. Does this mean you think we can actually win? I don't think. I know, because I've done this before. And this time, I have help. The doorbell rang. 1:30 in the morning. I opened it to find Torres standing there, apologetic. Sorry for the hour, but Derek Lawson just made a very large cash withdrawal. $43,000 from an ATM. I think he's planning to run. Monday at 10 a.m., my kitchen looked like an FBI operation. Torres spread evidence across the table. Billing records showing $47,000 charged to insurance. Derek Lawson completed an online certification course. Torres said, not accredited, not licensed in any state. He's been billing under false credentials, that's felony fraud. As Maria's voice on speaker, and Claire signed co-guardian forms, making her complicit. Dorothy tapped the commitment papers, which gives us leverage. She faces criminal charges unless she backs down. Wait, I said. I don't want her in prison. She's still their mother. Dorothy's eyes flashed. You're too soft. She tried to institutionalize you. But he's right, Pete said quietly. Kids need some relationship with her, even supervised. Maria spoke up. We can use it as negotiation. Prosecution depends on cooperation. Torres nodded. I'll recommend leniency if she testifies against Derek, admits the fraud. The strategy came together. We wouldn't fight about whether I was mentally ill. We'd focus on Derek's crimes, Claire's complicity, the children's endangerment, shift the burden from defending me to prosecuting them. Pete would testify as moral authority, community witness, dying man's truth. Dorothy would provide case law and precedents. Maria would handle courtroom strategy. Torres would present objective evidence, and I would just tell the truth. We filed a counter motion today, Maria said. Emergency hearing request. Flip the script. My phone rang. 2 a.m. that night. I'd finally fallen asleep in my chair. Maria. Counter motion filed. Judge approved emergency hearing. Same day as Claire's original petition. February 14th. That's in 10 days. 10 days to build an airtight case. Can you handle it? I looked around my kitchen. Evidence everywhere. Pete sleeping on my couch. Dorothy passed out in the spare room. My kids safe upstairs. Yeah, I can handle it. Wednesday morning, Torres called. I interviewed Claire yesterday as part of the investigation. How did that go? She's panicking. Tried to claim she didn't know about Derek's credentials. When I showed her the co-guardian forms with her signature, she said Derek forged them. Did he? No. Handwriting analysis confirms it's hers. She's scrambling. That afternoon, Claire texted me. We need to talk. Tomorrow. It's important. Linda's house. 2 p.m., please. I showed Dorothy. It's a trap. Don't go. Pete disagreed. Or go, but wired. Record everything. I'm going, I said. But Dorothy comes with me. Thursday, 2 p.m., I walked up to Linda's door. Dorothy sat in her car, half a block away, with recording equipment. Linda answered. She's in the living room. Marcus, she's really upset. Claire sat on the couch, eyes red, makeup smudged, different from the cold, calculating woman I'd seen for months. Thank you for coming. I stayed standing. What did you want to talk about? The insurance people came. They're saying Derek's license is fake. Is it? I don't know. I trusted him. He said he was qualified. Well, you trusted him with our children's health and $47,000 of their money. She got defensive. I didn't know about the money. That's all Derek. You signed the forms, Claire. You're on the billing records. Her tactics shifted. More tears. This is all a misunderstanding. We can fix this. Drop the fraud investigation. I'll drop the custody thing. We split everything 50-50, co-parent, move on. What about Derek? He'll leave. It's over between us. It was a mistake. Which part was the mistake? The affair, the fraud, or trying to have me committed? She froze. What? I found the papers, Claire, the psychiatric hold forms. She calculated quickly. Those were just, I was scared of you, your behavior. Stop. I recorded everything. I have photos of everything. Your lies don't work anymore. She stood up, desperation turning to rage. You bastard. You're recording now, aren't you? I didn't answer. Fine. You want a war? The kids will hate you when this is done. They'll know you destroyed their mother. They already know you tried to destroy their father. Kids hear things, Claire. Linda appeared at the doorway. Claire, what did you do? Claire spun on her. Whose side are you on? The kids' side, and Marcus is their father. A good one. I left. Got in the car with Dorothy. Got every word, she said. My phone rang. Torres. Derek emptied his bank accounts. $43,000 withdrawn. We think he's fleeing. Where is he? We don't know, but we have a warrant. If you see him, call police immediately. Dorothy started the car. He'll come to see Claire one more time, to say goodbye or get more money. That evening, I got an email. Claire's lawyer had withdrawn from the case. Subject line, cannot represent client who has misrepresented material facts. The hearing was in 6 days. The next 5 days blurred together. Evidence, strategy, preparation. Pete rehearsed his testimony at my kitchen table while Maria coached him through video call. They'll say you're biased because you're Marcus's friend. Pete's voice was firm, despite his oxygen tank. I'll say I'm biased toward children's safety. That's not friendship, it's decency. We practiced over and over. Pete in a kitchen chair, Maria playing prosecutor on the screen. Every time he said his piece, it got more powerful. I watched a man put his children first every single day while his wife forgot they existed. Even in rehearsal, it cut deep. Dorothy had contacted Dr. Levin. He'd agreed to testify, admitted in writing that he'd based his concerns solely on Claire's reports and never observed anything concerning himself. Torres had Derek's billing records, his fake credentials, the insurance fraud documented down to the penny. We had the commitment papers, the documentation file, the camera footage, Pete's meticulous notebook. But Pete was getting worse. I could see it, the way he had to rest between sentences. How his hands shook handling papers, the gray tint to his skin. Saturday evening, our final prep session. Pete stood to leave and stumbled, caught himself on the table. Pete, you okay? Just tired. Haven't been sleeping well. Dorothy closed her laptop. You need to rest before Monday. I'll rest when I'm dead, which better not be before Monday. He tried to laugh, but started coughing instead. Maria's voice came sharp through the speaker. Uncle Pete, promise me you'll see a doctor tomorrow. Can't. Sunday. Clinics are closed. Then I'm taking you to the ER right now. The hell you are. I'm going home, sleeping in my own bed, and showing up Monday, ready to testify. They stared at each other through the screen, Maria crying now. I can't lose you. You won't lose me. I'll just be somewhere else. But first, we save these kids. He hugged Maria's phone, then me. Then, awkwardly, Dorothy. I watched through my window as his lights came on across the street, watched him settle into his chair by the window. He raised his coffee cup toward my house. I raised mine back. What if he doesn't make it to Monday? I asked Dorothy. Then we make sure his testimony was worth it. Sunday morning was quiet. I took the kids to the park. First warm day above freezing, sun melting the snow. Emma pushed herself through the slush in her wheelchair. Tomorrow's the big day, huh? Yeah. How do you know about that? We hear things. Are you scared? A little. Are you? No, because you're going to win. Jack grabbed my hand. What happens if the judge says we have to live with Mommy? I knelt down, honest with him. I don't know, buddy, but I'm going to fight as hard as I can for you. Will we still see you? Always. No matter what. I'm your dad. That doesn't change. Sarah's voice was small. Mommy called me last night. I stopped walking. What did she say? She said she loves us and she's sorry things got complicated. Well, what did you say? I said I love her too, but I want to live with you. You told her that? Emma wheeled up beside her sister. All three of us did. We had a vote. It was unanimous. I knelt in the slush, eye level with all three, tears coming. You know I love you more than anything, right? We know, Daddy. That afternoon, Dorothy helped me pick out clothes for court. One suit, 15 years old, still fit, barely. Evening, I read to the kids extra long, their favorite book twice. Tucked them in, kissed their foreheads. We'll be praying for you, Emma said. Thank you, sweetheart. 10 p.m. I sat on my porch. Pete's light was on across the street. I saw his silhouette at the window. He raised his coffee cup. I raised mine. My phone buzzed. Maria, in a group text to me, Dorothy, Pete, Torres. Monday 9 a.m., courtroom 3B, Judge Harrison presiding. This is it. I replied, ready. Pete, see you there. Dorothy, let's finish this. And Torres, Derek Lawson still at large, warrant active. Police notified he might appear at courthouse. Second text from Torres. Claire's new attorney filed emergency motion to postpone. Judge denied. We're on for tomorrow. I didn't sleep. Lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that led to this moment. The accident 3 years ago. The drunk driver who destroyed my children's legs and our family's future. The settlement that was supposed to help them. Claire, who'd seemed like a blessing. Derek, who'd seemed professional. All the small signs I'd missed or ignored. At 3 a.m., I checked the cameras. Force of habit. Living room empty. Kids sleeping peacefully. For the first time in months, the house felt like mine again. Dawn came slow. I made coffee. Put on that 15-year-old suit. Looked at myself in the mirror. Old man. Maybe I was. But I was their old man. And I'd fight for them. Until I had nothing left. Dorothy arrived at 7. You ready? As I'll ever be. Pete texted. He's already at the courthouse. Got there at 6:30. Wanted to make sure he had time to get situated. His health? I know. Maria knows. He knows. But he's going to testify if it kills him. We drove in silence. Dorothy parked in the courthouse lot, took a breath. Listen, whatever happens today, I'm proud of you. For fighting, for asking for help, for being the father those kids need. Dorothy, no, let me finish. I was wrong to blame you about Mom. You were grieving too. And I'm sorry it took 15 years and a crisis to get us here. But I'm glad we're here. And I hugged my sister for the first time since our mother's funeral. Let's go win this thing. You know, the courthouse was old stone, the kind that's seen 100 years of people's worst days. We went through metal detectors. Security guard nodded at us. Small town, he knew why we were here. Courtroom 3B. Wood paneling, American flag, elevated bench. The air smelled like old paper and floor polish. Pete was already there in a wheelchair, oxygen tank attached. He looked terrible. Gray skin, trembling hands, breathing labored, but his eyes were sharp. Maria stood beside him. She looked like she'd been crying. Dorothy and I sat behind them. Torres was in the back row, badge visible on her belt. She caught my eye, nodded toward the bailiff. Police were ready. Claire came in with a new lawyer, expensive suit, confident walk, Mr. Brennan, according to his briefcase. Then Derek walked in, sat right behind them. I grabbed Dorothy's arm. He showed up. Arrogance, she whispered. He doesn't believe he'll actually be arrested. The bailiff's hand moved to his radio. Quiet communication. All rise. Honorable Judge Harrison presiding. Judge Harrison was a woman in her 60s, gray hair, sharp eyes, reputation for no-nonsense rulings. She looked at the packed courtroom and frowned. We're here for emergency custody determination in Chen versus Chen. This is family court, people, not entertainment. Bailiff, clear the spectators except for immediate family and official witnesses. Half the room filed out. Linda, Claire's sister, stayed. Some church ladies, Pete's neighbors. Judge Harrison reviewed the file. Mrs. Chen, you've filed for emergency custody based on father's mental health concerns. She flipped pages. Mr. Chen, you filed counter motion based on fraud and child endangerment? She looked up. This is unusual. Typically, these are separated into family court and criminal court. Maria stood. Your Honor, they're inseparable. The alleged mental health concerns are fabricated as part of the fraud conspiracy. Mr. Brennan jumped up. Your Honor, that's inflammatory speculation. I'll decide what's inflammatory. Both sides will present evidence. Mrs. Chen, you filed first. Begin. Mr. Brennan called Dr. Levin. My stomach dropped. They got to him first. Dr. Levin took the stand. Sworn in, he looked uncomfortable. Dr. Levin, you're the pediatrician for the Chen triplets? Yes. And you filed concerns about Mr. Chen's mental state? I documented concerns based on information provided by Mrs. Chen. On what specific concerns? She indicated he was forgetful with medications, had anger outbursts, exhibited paranoid behavior. Did you find these concerning? At the time, yes. Which is why I documented them. Mr. Brennan smiled. No further questions. Maria stood for cross-examination. Dr. Levin, how many times did you personally observe these behaviors? He hesitated. I didn't personally observe them. So your professional opinion was based entirely on Mrs. Chen's word? She's the mother. I had no reason to doubt her. Did you ever ask Mr. Chen about these alleged behaviors? No. Mrs. Chen came to appointments alone. Isn't that unusual for the primary caregiver to not attend children's appointments? In retrospect, yes. Maria pulled out a document. Doctor, have you since learned that Mrs. Chen may have misrepresented facts to you? That's become apparent, yes. No further questions. Judge Harrison looked at Dr. Levin. You may step down. Next witness. Maria stood. We call Janet Torres, insurance fraud investigator. Torres took the stand. Professional, calm, matter-of-fact. Maria walked her through the evidence. Billing records. $47,000 in 3 months. Derek's credentials. Online course, not accredited, not recognized by any state licensing board. Ms. Torres, in your professional opinion, is this fraud? This is felony insurance fraud. Brennan objected. Your Honor, Mr. Lawson is not party to this custody matter. Maria didn't miss a beat. He's the man Mrs. Chen wants around these vulnerable children. His criminality is absolutely relevant. Overruled. Continue. Torres kept going. Mrs. Chen signed co-guardian authorization forms for billing purposes. She's complicit in the fraud. Murmurs in the courtroom. Claire whispered urgently to Mr. Brennan. Additionally, Torres said, we've discovered Mr. Lawson has been treating disabled children without proper licensing, which constitutes child endangerment under state law. Judge Harrison leaned forward. Mr. Lawson, stand up. Derek stood slowly, cocky expression faltering. You're aware there's a warrant for your arrest? Color drained from his face. What? Bailiff, detain Mr. Lawson. Police will take custody after we conclude. The bailiff moved fast. Handcuffed Derek right there. This is bullshit. I didn't do anything wrong. Lawson, you'll have your day in court. That day is not today. She banged her gavel. Remove him. Derek was escorted out, yelling about his rights. Claire had her head in her hands. Mr. Brennan was frantically consulting his notes. Mrs. Chen, Judge Harrison said, do you wish to continue this custody petition? Mr. Brennan stood. Your Honor, may I have a moment with my client? 30 minutes. We reconvene at 11. And in the hallway, Mr. Brennan cornered Claire. I couldn't hear everything, but his body language was clear. Angry. Betrayed. You lied to me about the fraud, about Derek's credentials, about the co-guardian forms. But Claire's voice rose. I didn't know. You signed the forms. You knew enough. I can explain. I'm withdrawing. I cannot represent you when you've lied about material facts. You can't abandon me in the middle of the hearing. Watch me. He walked away, filed papers with the clerk. Claire stood alone in the hallway, panicking. Linda approached her. Claire, let it go. Settle with Marcus. You're going to lose. He's taking my children. You tried to take his sanity. You committed fraud. What did you expect? Our side of the hallway was quieter. Pete was in his wheelchair, clearly declining. I need to testify soon, he said, running out of steam. No, Pete, we can ask for medical postponement. No. His voice was fierce. I testify today or not at all. 11 a.m., we reconvened. Mr. Brennan stood. Your Honor, I must withdraw from this case. My client has not been truthful about material facts. Judge Harrison didn't look surprised. Mrs. Chen, do you understand you may proceed pro se or request new counsel? Claire looked trapped. Can we postpone? Just a few days to find someone? No, I've had enough postponements. Either proceed or concede. I'll proceed. Very well, call your next witness. Claire had no witnesses. No strategy. She was drowning. I'd like to testify on my own behalf. She took the stand. Sworn in. Started rambling without a lawyer to guide her. I love my children. Marcus is a good father, but he's been difficult. Paranoid. The cameras... She circled back to the mental health claims. Couldn't substantiate any of them. Judge Harrison cut her off. Mrs. Chen, do you have evidence of these claims? Medical evaluations? Independent witnesses? Levin said. Dr. Levin testified he never personally observed concerning behavior. Move on. Claire floundered, realized she had nothing. Maria stood. Your Honor, may I cross-examine? Please do.
Mrs.
Chen, did you sign forms naming Derek Lawson as co-guardian for insurance purposes? Yes. But did you know he wasn't licensed? No. I trusted. You never checked his credentials before giving him access to your disabled children? Silence. Did you participate in a plan to have Mr. Chen involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility? I was scared. As Maria produced the commitment papers. Are these your initials? Your handwriting on the sticky note? Claire started crying. I made mistakes. I was overwhelmed, but I love my kids. Do you love them more than the $800,000 settlement? No one objected. Claire had no lawyer to protect her. She couldn't answer. No further questions. Mrs. Chen stepped down. Judge Harrison looked at our table. Mr. Chen's team, call your witness. Maria's voice was clear. We call Peter Richardson. The bailiff wheeled Pete to the witness stand area. Every eye in the courtroom was on him, oxygen tank hissing, hands trembling. But when he raised his hand to be sworn in, his voice was steady. I do. Maria stood beside Pete. Her voice was gentle, like she was talking to him in his living room, not a courtroom. Mr. Richardson, please state your relationship to the Chen family. I'm their neighbor, have been for 12 years. In those 12 years, what have you observed about Mr. Chen as a father? Pete took a breath. The oxygen tank hissed. I've watched that man sacrifice everything for those kids. His voice grew stronger as he spoke. Every morning, 6 a.m., he's on that porch lifting weights so he's strong enough to carry 3 children up and down stairs. Every night, he reads to them till his voice gives out. He paused, gathering strength. I've seen him at his lowest, back giving out, exhausted, crying from the weight of it. And then he still shows up every single day. What about Miss Chen? I've seen her leave at 9 a.m., come back at 8 p.m. I've seen that therapist's truck parked hidden behind their garage 3-4 times a week. I've seen Marcus carry all 3 kids while she sat in her car on her phone. He pulled out his notebook, held it up with shaking hands. I've got dates, times, license plate numbers, 3 months of documentation. Maria entered the notebook as evidence. Judge Harrison reviewed it. Her expression shifted. This wasn't hearsay or emotion. This was meticulous record-keeping. Miss Richardson, why did you document all this? Pete's voice broke. Because I lost my daughter to a bad marriage. People saw the signs and said nothing. I said nothing. The courtroom went silent. I won't make that mistake again. Those kids need their father. He's the one who shows up. He's the one who loves them more than himself. He was breathing hard now. I'm dying. A couple months left, maybe. I need to say this before I go. He looked directly at the judge. I've watched a lot of people in my 76 years. Marcus Chen is good people. His kids are lucky to have him. Don't take that away. Several people in the courtroom were crying. Claire had her face buried in her hands. I couldn't see anymore. Tears blurred everything. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Maria's voice was thick. No further questions. Judge Harrison looked at Claire. Do you wish to cross-examine? Claire shook her head. Couldn't speak. Pete started to stand. Collapsed back into the wheelchair. His breathing went rapid, shallow. Skin turned gray. He needs medical attention, Dorothy shouted. The bailiff called for EMTs. They came fast, loaded Pete onto a gurney. As they wheeled him past me, Pete's hand reached out. I grabbed it. Did we win? His voice was barely there. We won. He smiled. Good. They took him out. The courtroom was chaos. Judge Harrison called a recess. I rode in the ambulance, held Pete's hand the whole way. Dorothy stayed to hear the verdict. At the hospital, they stabilized him, got him breathing steady. But the doctor pulled me aside. He's not going home. Maybe a week, maybe less. I know. He pushed himself too hard today. He had to. There were kids depending on him. The doctor nodded. He's a good man. The best, Dorothy called at 2 p.m. Get back here. Judge is ready to rule. I got back to the courtroom by 2:30. Pete was stable, sleeping, in good hands. Judge Harrison was already on the bench. Let's proceed. She looked at both sides. I've reviewed all evidence. This is clear-cut. Mr. Chen, you are granted full legal and physical custody of Emma, Jack, and Sarah Chen. The air left my lungs. Mrs. Chen, you are granted supervised visitation, 2 hours weekly, pending completion of family counseling, and Claire was crying silently. The fraud investigation will proceed separately. Mrs. Chen, you face potential criminal charges for insurance fraud conspiracy. However, given your cooperation potential, and assuming you testify against Mr. Lawson, I'll recommend leniency. She looked at the financial documents. The settlement funds, all $800,000, are to be placed in irrevocable trust for the children's benefit. Neither parent may access except for direct child-related expenses, approved by court-appointed trustee. Additionally, the fraudulent billing funds recovered, $47,000, plus damages, will be added to the trust. She looked directly at Claire. Mrs. Chen, you nearly destroyed a good man and endangered your children for greed. You're fortunate Mr. Chen doesn't want you imprisoned because you deserve it. This court stands adjourned. The gavel came down, final, decisive. Dorothy hugged me, Maria was crying, Linda came over and apologized. I couldn't feel anything yet, just numb. I called the hospital. How is he? Stable? Asking for you? I got there by 4. Pete was awake, oxygen mask on. He pulled it off when I came in. We won? We won. Full custody. Good. His smile was weak but real. I can rest now. Rest. I'll be here. No, go home. Be with your kids. That's where you belong. Pete, go. I'll see you tomorrow. The nurse caught me in the hallway. He's not going home. The testimony took everything he had left. How long? Days, maybe a week. I visited every day. Brought the kids Tuesday. Pete's face lit up when he saw them. There are my heroes. Emma wheeled close, took his hand. Thank you for helping, Daddy. Pete cried. Thank you for letting me. Wednesday, he slept most of the day. Maria sat with him, holding his hand. Thursday, he was mostly unconscious, occasionally lucid. Pete, can you hear me? Eyes fluttered, small squeeze of my hand. You did good. The kids are safe. You saved them. A slight smile. Friday at 2 a.m., the hospice nurse called. It's time. You should come. I got there fast. Pete was unconscious, breathing shallow. I held his hand. It's okay. You can let go. You did everything you needed to do. At 3:17 a.m., Pete Richardson passed away. I sat there holding his hand, crying like I hadn't cried since my first wife died. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for everything. Sunday afternoon, small church, 40 people. Pete's funeral was exactly what he'd wanted. Simple. No fuss. Maria had said he'd planned it 2 years ago when he got the diagnosis. I stood at the podium with notes I didn't need. Pete saved my life, and my kids' lives. And he did it knowing he was dying. My voice cracked, but I kept going. He could have spent his last months resting, comfortable, at peace. Instead, he documented evidence, testified in court, fought for people who weren't even blood family. I looked at the coffin. Simple pine, garden flowers. He told me he lost his daughter and nobody spoke up. He vowed never to be silent again, and he wasn't. Emma was in my lap, Jack and Sarah beside me. I felt Emma's small hand squeeze mine. Pete taught me that asking for help isn't weakness, that community matters, that bearing witness to truth is how we honor each other. I'll miss my friend. But I'll teach my kids about him. They'll know what a good man looks like. I sat back down. The preacher finished the service. At the back of the church, Claire sat alone, crying. She made brief eye contact with me. I nodded slightly. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement that she was human, that she'd lost something too. After the service, Maria handed me an envelope. Uncle Pete left this for you. Inside, a note in shaky handwriting. Marcus, use my house. Sell it, rent it, whatever helps. The kids need equipment, and you need breathing room. It's yours. Deeds with Maria. Pete. He can't. This is too much. It's done. He changed the deed 3 weeks ago. The house is yours. I couldn't speak. Dorothy put her hand on my shoulder. That's exactly why you deserve it. March came with a thaw. Snow melting, temperatures in the 40s. 1 month since the hearing. My driveway had a wheelchair-accessible van, license plate Lucky 3, bought with recovered fraud money and Pete's house sale proceeds. All of it in the kids' trust, managed by a court-appointed trustee. New equipment filled the house. Lift systems, specialized beds, therapy tools, everything they needed. Sunday morning, Dorothy arrived for breakfast. Our ritual now. Every week, she drove over with groceries and made pancakes. Claire's first visit is this afternoon. You ready? As I'll be. 2 p.m. at the Supervised Visitation Center. I brought the kids. Social worker present. Claire looked different. No makeup, simple clothes. Thinner, older. Hi, Mom, Emma said. Claire started crying immediately. Hi, baby. I missed you so much. The 2 hours passed slowly. She read to them, played games, didn't try to explain or justify, just tried to be present. When it ended, the kids left with me. Mommy seems sad, Sarah said in the van. She is sad, but that's not your job to fix. Emma looked at me in the rearview mirror. Do you think she'll get better? I don't know, but we'll hope for her. That evening, Dorothy and I sat on the porch, my spot. Pete's thermos on the railing next to my coffee cup, empty but always there. How was the visit? Sad, but necessary. The kids need to know their mom, even after everything, especially after everything. They need to see that people make mistakes and face consequences and maybe try to do better. Dorothy sipped her coffee. You're more forgiving than I am. I'm not forgiving. I'm just too tired to hate anymore. Comfortable silence. I put an offer on that duplex on Maple Street. So I looked at her. You're really staying? Found a paralegal job at the county office. Figured this town could use someone who knows how to fight fraud. 15 years, and now you won't leave? 15 years I ran from family. Time to run toward it instead. A week later, mail came from the insurance company. Fraud settlement finalized. $47,000 recovered, $23,000 in damages. $70,000 total added to the kids' trust. Pete's house had sold, $180,000, all to the trust per his will. Emma overheard us talking about it. Daddy, can we do something with some of that money? Like what, sweetheart? Mr. Pete liked the park. Can we make it more accessible for other kids like us? I looked at Dorothy. I'll call the city council, she said. Late March. First genuinely warm day, 55 degrees, sunny. I loaded the kids into the van. Pete Park Day. That's what we called it now. The local park where Pete used to walk. The city had agreed to install accessible equipment. Work was already starting. New paved paths, adaptive swings, ramps instead of stairs. Emma wheeled herself along the smooth path. This is so cool, Daddy. Jack and Sarah were on the swings laughing. Other families there. Some waved. No more whispers. Just neighbors. Emma did her arm exercises on the new equipment. Therapy homework. You don't have to do those on our fun day. I want to. I want to get stronger. Sarah was singing an old country song I'd taught her. Pete's favorite. I sat on a bench, watching them. My kids, safe, happy, mine. Emma wheeled over. Daddy? Yeah, sweetheart. I love you, and I'm glad we have you. I'm glad I have you too, all three of you. We're lucky, aren't we? I looked at 3 faces. These kids who'd been through hell and came out strong, who'd protected me when I should have been protecting them, who'd chosen me when the world gave them a choice. Yeah, baby, we're lucky. That evening, Dorothy made Sunday dinner, our tradition now. I sat on the porch with coffee. Pete's thermos beside mine on the railing. My phone buzzed. Claire, thank you for letting me see them today. I know I don't deserve it. I stared at the message. Didn't reply immediately. Would think about it. But not today. Dinner's ready, Dorothy called. Kids are starving. I stood, touched Pete's thermos briefly, whispered, good evening, friend. Went inside to the sound of children's laughter and Dorothy burning something on the stove in life. Continuing forward, not healed, but healing. Not happy, but hopeful. Not perfect, but home. Some mornings I still make 2 cups of coffee out of habit. That second cup sits on the railing till it's cold. Pete's thermos is there too, empty but present. A reminder that good men exist, and sometimes they show up exactly when you need them. The kids ask about him sometimes. I tell them the truth. Pete was a man who lost something precious and spent the rest of his life making sure other people didn't lose what mattered to them. That's not a bad way to be remembered. Dorothy stays for Sunday dinners now. We've worked through most of the mom stuff. Not all of it. 15 years doesn't disappear in a few months. But enough. Enough to be family again. Enough to know that sometimes you have to lose each other to find each other again. Claire's in therapy. Making slow progress, the social worker says. The kids see her every week. It's awkward and sad and necessary. They need to see that people can break and maybe, if they do the work, start to heal, even if it takes years, even if forgiveness isn't guaranteed. I don't know if I'll ever forgive her, but I don't hate her anymore. Hate's too heavy to carry when you're also carrying 3 kids up and down stairs. The park opened last week. Pete Richardson Memorial Playground. Accessible equipment, smooth paths, a bench with a plaque. He bore witness when others looked away. Emma read it and asked what it meant. I told her some people see trouble and turn away because it's easier. Pete saw trouble and moved toward it because it was right. Like you did, she said. You saw we needed help and you asked for it. Smart kid, smarter than her old man. Spring mornings now, I still lift weights on the porch, but not every day. Some days I just sit with coffee and watch the sunrise and thank God for neighbors who keep notebooks, sisters who know the law, children who choose love, and dying men who spend their last breath on truth. I'm 58 years old, got gray hair and a bad back, and 3 kids who need me. Some people would call that a burden. I call it lucky. And every morning, I raise my coffee cup to an empty porch across the street and whisper, "We're doing okay. Pete, we're doing okay."